Coming up, the first full round of MLR 2026 is in the bag, but what did it tell us? Plus, the Eagles have announced their game day squad for Saturday in the Pacific 4 series, and we're here to break it down for you. Stick around. This is the Wall Street Journal. Hello and welcome to the Maul Street Journal, the podcast that brings you all the latest news and reviews for all things American rugby. We are part of the Global Gainline Network. It can be found on all your usual platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. So if you haven't already, give us a like or a subscribe, tell a couple of friends about us, or if you really want to help us out, you know what? Send us like round trip tickets and a couple of jerseys to a capybaras match. We would love that. And by the way, would it kill you? Anyway, this is episode 23. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host for today, David Lawrence. I'm here with, once again, Kolya. Kolya, how are things in the shadow of the Alamo?
Pretty good, tiring as it is state mandated testing month.
Yes,
So we've got that going on.
that was the deal for my son as well at school today. And the last 2 days, he was very unhappy about it, and yet it was no big deal. Well, for regular listeners, Rugby Julia, she can't be with us this evening. She's been hospitalized after finishing a 90-minute Six Nations preview that somehow ran for about 150 minutes. The doctors, they just want to kind of keep her under observation for now. So our tradition is to start with some news. Kolya, I came up with blanks for news this week in American rugby. Did you find anything at all?
The tiny bit I got is that World Rugby has announced the referees for the Women's Six Nations and the Pac 4. So we finally have our referee for the Pac 4. For the US New Zealand match, it's going to be Juliana Zussman coming back from maternity leave, her first match after maternity leave, with Emma Gallagher and Christine Lovett as ARs, with Cam Russell as TMO. So that's going to be an all Canadian team. And then for Canada versus Australia, in the center, you'll have Orly Groselot from France with two American ARs, Amelia Luciano and Alexis Sari, with Derek Summers as TMO.
I knew like three out of those names, so but I have confidence. Julia, last time we spoke, when we look at MLR, there was just one MLR match in the bag, but now we've had our sort of first full round of action on Friday. The Seattle Seawolves more than doubled up DC 33 to 16 in Tukwila. Any thoughts on this game? Did you watch this one?
Yes, I watched all three. I caught this one late, and boy, was that fun with ESPN Plus. Like
We have
at
issues.
at some point, we're going to have to talk about ESPN Plus, maybe later in this podcast, maybe at another time. But this match, the scoreline flatters Seattle a lot.
Oh,
It
interesting.
was a tot or it was incredibly close going into the 60th minute, and then a really, really good try off of uh, an attempted clearance kick from Old Glory kind of broke it open for Seattle, and then they scored two more quick tries right after that,
Yeah, yeah.
making it look much, much harsher than it really was. Looking at the MLR Team of the Week, I felt it was really harsh on Old Glory to only have one player get in.
I don't generally look at those things.
Yeah, I don't either, but it came up on my feed and I saw it, and the
Mm,
thing that really stood out was only one Old Glory player.
yeah, that seems
A- Actually,
that seems rough.
actually, it was only one player from each of the losing teams. and then multiple from the winning teams, which kind of makes sense. But this one seemed more or seemed much harsher because it was really close until the end.
For me, the story of the match was David Kutza. He racked up 18 points, off the boot to earn himself a man of the match performance. Interestingly, Jason Robertson from Old Glory also hit a milestone this weekend. He scored 11 points to move into fourth place, just to keep himself 2 points ahead of Kutza. So after that anthem, they looked to follow up at home on their first ever victory, but Chicago were too much for them. You've got the shirt on right now. The Pups won 19-33. Kolya, we were discussing the potential of this Hounds team. Did you like what you saw in this opening, spectacle for them?
I really did until the very end of the match. Chicago really manhandled Anthem for most of this match up until Chicago lost their discipline and had two quick yellow cards,
Right.
which is when Anthem was or started playing like they did in week one
Yeah.
and got a few tries, which made it look much closer. But if you're a Chicago Hounds supporter, you've got to be looking at this match thinking, I like what I see. Mason Flesh did a great job at flanker.
Yeah. Great shout.
Lucas Rumble was quite good. Let's see. Yeah, Charlie Abel was good. Basically, the whole front row and back row did really, really well for the Hounds. What confused me, and I couldn't see any news about this anywhere, was that Peyton Wall, MLR Rookie of the Year last year, did not even make the squad for this match.
Is he doing other things? Is he maybe trying to get a sniff overseas?
I don't know. I know that he was the first player announced by the Hounds to re-sign after the season.
For real.
Like I know he
That
did.
that's weird.
Yeah, he did pick up a knock after the season, but or during the National Sevens, but he it was not a very heavy one. So I'm really confused where he was.
Yeah. I
But
mean, sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah, but in general, this looked like a Chicago Hounds team that could really make some noise this season, and I'm
Yeah.
really excited for next week's game or for this week's game because it
Yeah.
will show us where exactly they are and where California Legion are.
So Chicago, is it McLean Jones? Is it McLean Jones? Anyway, he hit the 50 appearance mark for the Hounds, a significant achievement for such a young sort of new team. You got to mention Connor Mooneyham. He was again the bright spot for Anthem, proving that his round one brace wasn't a fluke. I love Connor Mooneyham. The final match though this weekend, it was not the greatest as far as I'm concerned. The Cal Legion thoroughly dismantled my beloved New England Free Jacks. Kolya, I really expected a lot more sort of taunting messages from you and Julia during this one. I imagine you really enjoyed watching this one.
So this one just floored me. My jaw was on the floor for most of it because I
Yeah.
did not expect this. Like I knew that the
So the way you described California's defense the previous week and the way they looked this week, it was night and day.
yes, it was a completely different team and like they were playing in San Diego, so maybe being the San Diego Legion again is helpful.
There was a lot of great fan representation there. The guys I met, I've talked about on the on this show. The guy I met in Chicago who told me how hard it is to get a sword through TS through the TSA when you're trying to fly from one state to another. He was there, and he was there to hand over the Old Mate Cup or whatever it was at the end of the game.
Yeah, but this match, it started California, it ended California. New England did very, very little. I knew that they lost some, but I wasn't expecting this much.
No,
But the I think the important thing for this match is what you were doing during it.
which is calling it on the radio. So in a microcosm of American rugby, the Three Jacks have a new partnership with a local radio station. I have been asked to join the broadcast crew. I can't wait on Saturday. I'm going back to do it in person, at the stadium. But there's a new studio and everything. But so they've spent, as they've told us over and over, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the equipment in this new studio. It's beautiful. It's so built out. But guess what? Only one microphone was working. They could only get one microphone to work. So we're kind of passing it back and forth, and they've decided that the quality, the subsequent quality was so low that they're not going to really publish it. This Saturday, we will see. Maybe it'll be different, and that's okay. The Three Jacks had a bad opening. It was a bad way to start the year. The 38 point deficit was the largest ever defeat suffered by the Free Jacks, surpassing their previous worst at 29 point loss to Chicago just last year. But the other piece, I already mentioned it, the old mate. With this victory, the Legion claimed the newest piece of MLR silverware, the Old Mate. Do you know about this? I'm sure you do.
This is their attempt at what's it called? The something World Cup.
Like the Rayburn Shield and the
Yes,
Utrecht
yes, the
Shield.
Rayburn Shield. I
I
I
love it.
yeah,
Are you not? Are you
yeah,
not on
yeah, yeah.
board?
I like the idea of it. I I wish this was something that MLR had started from the beginning.
Yeah, this was a fan-based initiative that has gained momentum and that MLR actually eventually, owned. So for people who don't know, the Rayburn Shield is the idea of a moving cup. So if I win the cup now, I have it until you beat me, and it's not like world rankings. It's separate and it's just a moving piece. So there's the Rayburn Shield, which represents the men, and there's the Utrecht Shield, which represents the women. Obviously, the Red Roses have had the Utrecht Shield for a long time now. The Rayburn Shield, though, currently now Ireland have it actually because they took it off Scotland. Amazingly, who took it off England? But so MLR are trying to add this new layer where there's the Old Mate Cup. So the team that has most recently won, they get that cup, and so that was us. And so unfortunately, we handed it over to California this past weekend, but California might cough it up this coming weekend. I like it. I think it's a great fan based kind of thing, and I think it's exciting for rugby.
Yeah, I can see, especially once MLR expands again, this becoming
Mm.
a big fan
Yeah,
bragging rights thing.
right. We had the mini things. We had the coffee cup, and we had these sort of mini internal. But because there's been so many teams have disappeared after we created these things, it's been difficult. Um, Anyway, total sidebar. Do you know? I think we already kind of mentioned it. Do you know who's in possession of the Rayburn and the Utrecht? I think we already just said it. The
Yes, yes, we did.
Yeah. So I just do want to take a moment to remind you all that liking and subscribing is the best way to help us grow. If you could tell a friend or two, that would be smashing. We are part of the Global Gainline Network. We're incredibly grateful for your ongoing support. We're growing steadily on YouTube. We remain your one stop shop for all things rugby. We've got Irish content, we've got South African content, we've got the Women's Treehouse. By the way, I referenced it earlier, the epic Six Nations preview for the Women's Treehouse. It's incredible. I can't recommend it highly enough. And it's all just gold. So do yourself a favor, check it out and subscribe and spread the word. Well, Kolya, we have another, in my opinion, bigger topic.
I think we
This
have to talk
weekend,
about something else first, though.
oh, go ahead.
Uh, MLR this week was much better than week one,
Okay.
but there was one glaring problem, and that's the captain's challenge. This was a mess this week.
When did it come up? Like, when did it? I think in the Free Jacks game, they used it, but it wasn't a problem. What what instances are you
So,
referring to?
so, so one happened in each match. One happened in each match, and it just optically looks bad.
Mm.
Like it looks really, really bad. And like I was talking with a bunch of other rugby fans in the area and some other ones I know out of the area, and it just it it pulls away from the game worse than the TMO. And it's kind of worse because like with the TMO, you've got all the refs come together, they look up at a screen, they hear the guy talking to them, etc. Now they all come together and look at a teeny tiny little TV.
So, as I mentioned, I was doing at least the radio broadcast. I have a face for radio, so the we talked about this live. The fact that they can't go over to a big screen and it kind of looks like they're going over to somebody's phone.
Yes,
It,
it just looks bad.
yeah.
And I know why they're trying it. We talked about it a few weeks ago. It could work well, but with the deficiencies of MLR right now, it just kind of makes it look like a Mickey Mouse League.
It does.
And then, but on a more positive note, this next week of MLR is going to tell us a lot about this season.
Yeah. So, despite what you say, I still feel very positive. The broadcasting contract, they almost have too many commentators. Like, I, I'm just feeling good. But
So I'm positive about the broadcasting as well. The broadcasting took a step up this week. There was no weird little little skit things regarding Sunday night rugby or anything like that. There were no big mess ups from the commentators. They all seemed to know every player's name, which was positive.
I think they have too many people, though. They're
Yeah,
at four, and I think
yeah,
they should be at three.
yeah. There was a funny line. I think it was Dallin, but I'm not sure. After the try that broke open the Seawolves match of like he scored faster than a teenager changes their mind,
Yeah,
something like that.
that's a Dellen line.
Yeah, yeah, but there was one thing that really really bothered me about the broadcast, and that was finding the games on ESPN Plus. And we can go
Mm.
more into this later. But for those unaware watching from elsewhere, people who may watch MLR through various other means than ESPN Plus, ESPN Plus is ESPN's streaming app, and you go into it, and there's this featured line of different broadcasts that you can watch, different sports. To find MLR, none of the three matches were on the featured line. You had to
You
go down about six little things to also
have to go to
live.
schedule and then sort it by sport.
Yes,
It's
you could do that, or you could go down to also live, where you would get the MLR.
yeah.
What was featured? The National Lacrosse League, a sport which I'm sorry, I despise that sport. I'm sure you in New England might have some sort of positivity for it, but I I cannot stand that sport.
It's horrible.
A re-air of dogs jumping into a pool.
So just so you know, I have seen cornhole when you sort by most popular sport on ESPN.
Yeah.
I've seen cornhole replays way ahead of rugby. This is what ESPN is giving us. This is what
Yes, yes. Yes. Like the broadcast looks much better this year. It looks much better.
that looks
I
great.
don't think we're going to have a Chicago New England thing where they're going to lose the broadcast in the middle of it this year.
Mhm.
But they are still doing us rugby fans dirty on ESPN.
The fact that it's on ESPN, that's a positive. Um, it's getting promoted in new ways. That's a positive. The production values are higher. That's a positive. There's a lot of things to still work out, but I think this year is the best broadcast wise.
I'd agree so far.
Well, we started to touch on it. The other big topic in American rugby is, of course, the squad announcement for our Eagles, who will be facing off against New Zealand in California on Saturday as part of a massive doubleheader in the Pacific Forest Series. Kolya, we finally get a peek at the match day 23. You know, what are your initial thoughts? And but before we even get into it, I have to ask you. I want to talk about Lev Kelter starting. I mean, we. I mentioned in the beginning. I saw online that she was starting at 10, but she's not. She's starting at 15. So, what are your initial thoughts on this squad?
I like it. It's not what I expected.
Yeah,
You've got, I believe, two new camps. If you look at the little match roster or lineup that USA Rugby put out, two players have tiny little stars next to their name, which I assume means they're new camps, but I can't guarantee it. Of Han Humphreys and Bella Vogel. Han Humphreys, according to Julia, who unfortunately can't be with us, I think is from or has worked with Hanratty before. And Bella Vogel is still in college at Life University. And I had never heard of
which is
her.
apparently where,
So,
which is apparently where all our rugby players come from. Men,
yes.
women, they go to life.
Yes, I like Caspar Gel at 9. I think that should
I
work.
do too.
And yeah, the Lev Kelter at 15 thing kind of threw me at first. but
I want Lev at center. I always want her at center because of her ability to be that secondary playmaker, her ability to connect with the 10 and then do the next thing, and her just smash through you. I want her at 12. I want her at 13 sometimes, but and I'm sure I will never doubt Lev Kelter. I'm sure she will do a great job at 15, but I want somebody else at 15. I want Lev at my center.
I'm wondering if Hanratty thinks that New Zealand's going to go for a very aerial game
Mm.
and wants someone like Lev back there to deal with the bodies that New Zealand's going to throw at us.
So this selection is Lev at 15 more of a USA selection or of a USA reaction to New Zealand selection?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's the latter, but
Mm.
I don't know enough about Hanratty or what he wants to do to make that a confident thought.
So what are you looking for from Coach Henry this weekend? Like, what are the things you're thinking? What what's going to be different from the previous regime? What are we looking for? What are we building? What are the keys you're looking for as a coach?
As a coach, what I want is a clear game plan. I want to see us trying to actually rack up points. I don't want it to just become a slog, and I want us to have a plan B if plan A doesn't work.
That is something we have lacked.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's no
because
adjustment at halftime.
yes, we have not, or during the World Cup, we didn't adjust really at halftime. We made some kind of odd decisions. For example, the Australia match, kicking it out at the end, which is probably coming from the sideline. And then
So,
whatever that
so
England match was. But but I want a plan B. I want to see a 9-10 partnership that develops
mm,
into something that works. And with that, despite me just saying, "Oh, I want a plan B," I want to see Bargel and Vogel if this is what Hanratty wants for the entirety of the tournament. I want to create this partnership. If he thinks that this is the partnership we want for the next few years, that's what I want. And then we did get that message from Julia before airtime. And the thing she pointed out most was the change at captain.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I'm going to throw her under the bus here because Julia clearly said she was so disappointed that Erica Cersei was going to be our new captain. She really was questioning her ability and her, competence at this level. I'm just putting that in there just to torture Julia as she listens to this.
Yes. So Julia said that she's an excellent leader, excellent person, really good at rugby too. And as a captain, that's kind of what you want.
Yeah. I mean, she's been a standout in the PWR. She was a force during the 2025 World Cup. I think that's when we all kind of, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
discovered her. And I'm looking forward to some of our new faces too, like Reese Woods and Talisi. I think it's Uhatafa, Uhatafafe. I think I'm way off on that, but they're in line for new caps, and obviously Kate Zachary missing out. That's bad. Gabby Cantorna, that's also tough for us. But Hope Rogers, she's starting this weekend, and she every time I mention her name, is involved with the phrase talking about retirement. But you know what? Hope springs eternal.
Yes. And we've got another hope.
That's right. We have new hope.
Hope Cooper.
So
And
I'm really excited about our new players. I don't think we can reasonably expect that this tournament that we're going to win it. So I think we would be best served to sort of cycle in some new players, to try out some new schemes with our new coach. Use this platform as a great opportunity to grow. Like our women are ranked eighth in the world as we're talking right now. Um, I find it hard to believe that's going to go backwards. And frankly, I think with the momentum we're seeing and feeling, I think we could be third or fourth, maybe in the world by the time we get our home World Cup. What do you think?
that'd be what I'd want. I think we can do that if WER builds on the momentum it already has. Like, we have to watch what the PWR is going to do with its international players.
Right.
But I think if PWR, or if we're able to weather that and grow WER at the same time, we can definitely be top five by the next World Cup.
Great. Boy, this is completely off script. You've spent time in Wales. You are, in some ways, a Wales supporter. Wales players are kind of losing out on minutes in the PWR right now, in a large part because of the Americans. This must be a weird time for you. In the PWR, we're seeing our American players kicking ass, but Wales might be coming into the Six Nations a little undercooked because their players are getting 10 minutes off the bench at the end of games instead of playing these major minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, there's that, but there's also Brython and Gwalia, which have done much better this season than the last couple,
Sure, but the Celtic Challenge,
is
the
not a
next,
very, very high level. No,
right?
no. But I also don't think, like, it's hard. Like, I am a Wales supporter. They are my number two behind the US. They are my number two behind the US. But right now, with what the WRU is doing with both the men's game and the women's game, it is hard to feel bad for the WRU. I feel bad for the players. I do not feel bad for the WRU.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
want to, this might be something that could be clipped for the global gain line, etc. WRU, if you want to see what's going to happen if you cut a region, look at MLR right now. We have six teams, and many of the younger players that were on teams like the Sabercats, like the Warriors, some of them found new teams in the MLR, some made it to Pro D2,
Right.
but others, ones that we were really kind of looking forward to seeing how they developed, are playing grassroots rugby up in Oklahoma, to name one.
Wow.
And that's what happens when you cut a team. There is less space for that young talent to grow because they
Mm.
don't get a chance.
It's a great point because people, when you try to put the positive spin on it, you say, "Oh, well, that'll consolidate the best players into this smaller group, so therefore all these teams will be better." But you're talking about losing all these sort of peripheral players who often we love.
Yes. Like, there are players in grassroots American rugby right now who could be playing MLR and were playing MLR last year, who are now not. And there are players who are out of rugby right now who were playing MLR last year, who were actually on the U.S. pathway.
Again, this is totally off script. And I'm just making this up. Kolya, we have two World Cups coming to the United States. I feel like the women are in a pretty good position. We've already talked about it. I think we might be, expected to make a quarterfinal, a semifinal. I don't know what's up with the men. How do you feel about the trajectory towards the next World Cup for our men?
That one I am more worried about. Like, as we've discussed on this podcast, Scott Lawrence kind of lost me this past internationals or
Yeah.
set of internationals. But they are doing a bunch of things that are cool. Like, there's currently a competition that USA Rugby is running to create a mission badge for Operation Moonshot. Like, I'm sure.
Really doubling down on this space thing.
Yes, yes. And my 8 year old is all into space. She loved the art, or what was glued to the screen for the Artemis 2 launch.
Nice.
And she's an artist, so she is coming up with one of these little badges that we're gonna put in.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So that kind of thing, good. What like I know USA Rugby doesn't have full control over MLR, so they can't completely decide, hey, you need to not cut any more teams. You need to actually have more teams. They can't fully decide where all the teams are going to be. So that's kind of out of their control, unlike the WRU, who can actually decide what teams can go and where they are.
Right.
But there are other things that USA Rugby can do that they're dropping the ball with. Like, there should be in every major US city right now some sort of game watch put on by USA Rugby for the Pac 4.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
That should
So,
be a thing.
as a coach, and you're working with children, like, are you seeing new things? Are you seeing opportunities popping up? Like, we like to talk in a vague sense about the groundswell of rugby, and it all started with the Olympics with Lonamar. The silver medal was the spark that made America go, oh, or we think and we say these things. Are you feeling that because you're working with kids? Do you see an increased awareness among them? Do you see an increased awareness about rugby in general?
In
Is the
general,
is the
yes.
groundswell real?
Yeah. In general, yes, but that's also me talking in an area that is kind of a hotbed for rugby.
Okay.
Like, South Central Texas is a place that has had rugby for a long time and cares about rugby. San Antonio has two men's teams, one women's team, and a bunch of like high school rugby clubs in the area and a bunch of like just getting started middle school teams. Yes, like with middle school teams, like what I'm involved with, you've got the issue of sometimes your school just doesn't have enough boys interested in that. So you lay fallow for a year and then you come back the next year and have 20.
Interesting.
but that just kind of happens. Like like and this is in an area that lives and breathes high school football and middle school
Right.
football and has tackle football for 4-year-olds.
Way.
Like this is a thing, but if you ask like my new students coming into my school who like I always ask at the beginning of the year kind of as a gauge for where they're at. Like what's your favorite sport, or like what sports do you like to watch? And the amount that say rugby has grown considerably over my decade doing this.
Right. So you think there's a real, so you believe that there's an
Yes, it's
increase.
it's incremental. It's incremental. It's small. It's not going to be
Okay.
like if World Rugby expects us to sell out the Rose Bowl for the World Cup, that's not going to happen.
I
But
really
if
wonder. I'm so fascinated with the upcoming World Cups. Like, where are they going to be? Will international guests understand how goddamn big our country is? And like, well,
well,
I can't really see a match in New York and then go see them one in Chicago the next evening. It's not going to be easy.
yes. What I'm terrified right now, like I don't know if you're following what's going on with the FIFA World Cup, the soccer World Cup.
Well, I am in that. So the FIFA World Cup will be in at Gillette Stadium near me. Um, they have now announced the new exclusive train service, the one way you can get to and fro the matches, unless you want to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars to park. But the tickets, it's so funny because I was like, oh, Scotland versus Jamaica. Like, I don't care about soccer, but I care about Scotland. So I would go see like a Scotland versus Jamaica. $793 is the cheapest ticket I could find in the nosebleeds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that World Rugby is going to see this and see, ooh, let's charge $500 for Georgia versus Samoa at SeatGeek Stadium.
So anyway, I'm told there's a whole science to this because Americans like to spend money on sports. If you're going to go to a sort of an exotic event, there's an expectation that you will pay a lot for that kind of thing, and so Americans don't like underpriced events. So yeah, I'm fascinated. I can't wait to feel and understand how this whole thing unfolds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Polya, it's prediction time. The Pacific Four, who wins it? Where do the other teams rank when the dust settles? I think for me, New Zealand are going to win. I think Canada will be second. I think we can be third, though.
I was actually going to say Canada, New Zealand, then us.
Wow. Do we both have Australia at the bottom? I mean, they've got a
Yes,
lot of
yes.
change going on, and they're definitely putting all their eggs in the basket of the sevens.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Australia right now. They might surprise me, but like that's the game I'm circling for the US.
Mm.
Like this New Zealand US match, I want us to keep it within 10.
This opening match this is our best opportunity to beat the Black Ferns in my lifetime, I think, because they're going to be the Black Ferns are discombobulated. So many of their stars are off doing the sevens right now. They have a bunch of young people. We have some young people too, but I just feel like we're more solid being in California. This is our best opportunity. I'm not saying we're going to win. I'm saying this is our best opportunity, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I just hate that I'm not going to be able to watch it live because I'm going to be at a place with no Wi-Fi and no
Ah,
TV all weekend.
where is that place?
I'm going to be going to actually a Coptic monastery.
I mean, obviously that would have been my
Yes,
guess.
yes, yes, a Coptic
What,
monastery outside of
what does
Corpus
Coptic
Christi.
mean? What does Coptic mean?
It's Egyptian.
So
So so Coptic is
the
the is
philosophy of religion was my favorite
yeah,
topic in undergrad, and so I'm always fascinated with these things. What
yeah.
is
So
Coptic?
Coptic is the term for the language. It is the modern form of ancient Egyptian.
Okay, and how does that relate to your church?
Semi-similar, but not really.
So this isn't directly related to your church.
Yes,
This
yes,
is just something
yes,
you're
yes.
interested in.
This is just me being interested in it, had an
Okay,
opportunity to go,
okay.
signed up a while ago.
So
And
is there a Coptic language? Is there a
yes, yes,
what is?
yes. There's a Coptic language, there's a Coptic calendar.
No.
Like Coptic is fascinating. It like the language looks like a mix of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs with ancient Greek. Like
So
it
you teach Latin, is that right?
Yes, I teach Latin and English grammar.
So I taught English at like this sort of weird, you know, this weird charter school near where I live, and they teach Latin there, which is the only school in near me that actually teaches Latin. And I got to be friends with the Latin teachers, and they were incredible. And they absolutely convinced me, yeah, you really want Latin. If you want to understand English, you want to understand Latin first. But one of my favorite lines they mentioned was one of them said, "Yeah, well, Latin doesn't like you, but Greek hates your guts."
Yeah, when once you get into the optative case, but things happen. But one of those, or to bring this slightly back on topic, years ago, England Rugby put out a shirt that had a Latin phrase on it
Mm.
that I think we can all get behind. Rugbea floreat omnia. Let rugby flourish everywhere.
Nice. I want that jersey. Okay. Kolya, as always, this has been fantastic. We, of course, got off topic, and you know what? I kind of love our off topics as much as I love our
Yes.
on topics. Thank you so much for your time and your insights. Thanks to Lee and Hugh and all the folks at the Wrap and all our sister pods. Until next time, from all of us, cheers. Thanks to all of you, and be well.
Get better soon, Julie.